of Covington. Sorry. I'm your mayor of Covington. I'm Mayor Wagner. And thank you for showing your interest in our open council seat. It's going to be a pleasure speaking and hearing from each of you tonight. We have a set of 8 questions. I'll be asking all the questions tonight. I'll let each of you give a 2-minute opening statement, and then Krista will keep a timer, and then you'll each have 2 minutes to answer the questions, and then there'll be a 3-minute closing statement for each of you. And I'll start with question 1 and go down, and then question 2 and go down, and just keep going. That way it's fair to rotate it as we go. So with that, do we have any questions before we begin? All right. Krista, you have any questions or ready to go? Okay. Okay, perfect. So we'll start with Mr. Lanza. 2-minute opening statements.
Well, thank you. First, I want to thank all of the candidates for taking the time and wanting to be involved in the city. It's very important that we get citizens involved and wanting to be in the council. I do want to thank all the council members for the time and energy that you all put in to represent the city. I know that it's a time-consuming venture and sometimes a very thankless one, but I do appreciate it, and I know a lot of the people out there do. As you all know, I've been on the council before. I spent 4 terms, recently retired in November, and looking to get back into some kind of community service. I have a lot of time on my hands and realized I needed something to start taking up that time. I've always had a long involvement with community service, going way back to, gosh, I think 1990 or something, with the first organization called the Covington City Action Committee, I believe it was. Was very involved with the school district within my kids' school. I was a longtime volunteer, chaired the school LIT team while I was there. Went on to be an employee of the school district. Was a charter member of the Covington Rotary back then, long, 20-some years ago. Which at the time, I believe, if I remember correctly, was the largest charter membership Rotary in the world at the time. Very active coaching. Spent a lot of years coaching both through the Covington Community Center, not only through the Covington Community Center, but also through middle schools and also the high schools. It's harder being down here than it is up there. So I want to just get back and start serving the community again. I really want to get active within looking towards the use of this community. I think there's some issues the cities is facing, which I have a few we'll probably touch on a little bit later tonight.
Your time's up, Mark.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yep. It's hard to hear from down at that. Thank you. Ms. Sark, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me, Mayor, Council. My name is Andrea Sark. I am a 5-year resident of Covington, 18-year resident in Washington State, originally from California. I have a daughter in the Kent School District. She's 16 years old at Kent Lake High School. And I currently work in the King County Library System in the outreach department. I provide outreach services to the youth. My area is South King County, so Covington, Kent, Federal Way, Enumclaw, that area. I drive the bookmobile around and visit, daycares, childcares, home childcares, and currently we are not visiting apartment complexes or doing community events due to COVID restrictions, but we are hoping to get that back on track. I am a recent graduate of the University of Southern Mississippi. I just received my bachelor's degree in library and information science this past May. And I am looking to find ways to serve the community. The last 2 years, I've been in school and been working. And, you know, with COVID, I haven't had any opportunities really or time really to serve the community. So I saw this position. I thought it would be a great mix with my background with outreach and my passion for serving the community. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Ms. Hartstock.
Yes, well, thank you, Council and Mayor Wagner for this opportunity, and thank you to the other candidates here. I'm excited that so many people want to fill this position. My name is Deborah Hartsock, but I just want to clarify for the record, I go by Debbie, that's just my legal name. I have lived in Covington since 1999. We moved away briefly for my job, and then when I had a chance to come back into South King County, this was our choice to return back into the same neighborhood. And I did things a little bit differently at the end of my career. Most people end their career and retire at a little older age and then figure out what they want to do. I knew what I wanted to do with my time before I ever had a chance to retire. And so we worked out an economic program so that I was able to leave my corporate job early and jump right into helping. I started with our HOA and spending time meeting with the chief of police and working with integrating home crime watch programs and then implementing the National Night Out, which we continue to do. And then also quickly learned about the storehouse. And so most of you probably know me from the work that I've done with the storehouse, but we serve a number of residents in a number of times in their lives. And I've gotten to know so many people in our community, ranging from the seniors that are coming in, from the kids that are coming in out of homelessness. And so that has been my passion, but that led me to other avenues. So while I was working on food insecurity, homelessness, support of local schools and students, and public safety, I became aware of the Chamber of Commerce. And so joining the Chamber of Commerce led to just more avenues of areas to help and understanding what's happening in our city. Most recently, I had the honor of joining our Covington Rotary. So one of the legendary members here and then one of the newer members. And so I'm honored to now represent the Rotary, and that's giving us even more opportunity to get out and serve our schools, our local community, and our students. I did want to say that because of my career and my constant travel in my early years in Covington, I was not able to attend any Tuesday night meetings because of my travel. And then more recently, for family commitments, I was tied up every Tuesday night. So I haven't had the opportunity to attend council meetings, but I follow the minutes and the agendas online, watch the videos, stay in tune with what's happening. And I also appreciate the city council members coming to chamber, giving updates, and Regan as well, giving his update. So I feel that I've stayed pretty well up to tune with the issues that the city's facing. So thank you again.
Thank you. Mr. Ingram.
Evening. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us all. I'm pleased to see so many people who care about the future of Covington as well. And I just want to add to those who's not in my prepared comment, I also am a graduate of the University of Southern Mississippi. So, and that the world is really a small place. I don't know if Angela Ball is still sitting there, but I hope so. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. My name is Jonathan Ingram. I know most of you know me already, but I've lived in Covington since March of 2012. I'm a member of the Planning Commission, currently serving as vice chair of that body. I'm also a member of Covington Rotary and a volunteer with Scouting for America. I did prepare some more extensive comments for a little bit later, but I'll hit the high points. I know that most of you know me from the various work I've done, not just on the Planning Commission, but also throughout the community. And I thank you for the opportunity again to speak with you tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Porter, 2-minute introduction.
Great, thank you. Lorraine Porter, I go by Lori. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I want to greatly apologize for being a few minutes late. I got stuck by the trains in Kent coming from work. So I definitely respect your time, so I apologize. So my family and I have been residents of Covington for 27 years. I've raised my 3 children through the Covington School District schools. was involved in the schools throughout their school years in Covington. I headed up and created and executed many fundraisers for the schools, for the different departments and teams. Currently, I work at Heritage Bank in Kent as a banker. I've been there for about 6 years, and I'm also the president of the HOA of the community that I live in. So we're definitely working to keep our community at high standards and working to contribute to Covington, and I look forward to the possibility of doing that with the council as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I call you each by your first name? Thank you. So once again, I have 8 questions that we'll ask. You have 2 minutes to answer each question, and I'll rotate who I begin with each question, but then we'll just go down the line. So the first question, start with you, Mark. How long have you been a Covington resident, and how have you contributed to the city programs and activities? This is kind of a repeat of what you guys have already talked about.
Thanks. I've been a resident in Covington since 1999. 1990, excuse me. I had to do the math there. When I came here, I think we had 1 or 2 stoplights right down the hall. Johnny's was still there with the hitching post out front where you could, those that wanted to ride their horses there. So I've seen a lot of changes here. I already touched on a lot of my community involvements. Like I said, spent 16 years on the city council. Originally got involved, for those of you that were around at the time, we had a council that was pretty much non-functional. It was a sad time in the history of the city. I started attending the meetings to see what was going on, and it was actually kind of an embarrassment in a lot of ways. I got to know Pat Sullivan and Jeff Simpson quite well, and they recruited me to be on the city council. So I got involved. Ended up spending 16 years on the city council. Along with that time, again, I was very involved in my school, child schools. Was involved with the school board with a number of their elections, school levies to get those passed. Been again strong supporter of community support, and it's always been, I think, an issue that we've all seen with the communities, that very few people get involved. I'm sure things haven't changed much, but you usually see the same 6 people showing up at the meetings, the same people serving on the commissions from year to year. So what is nice to see some fresh faces here. I know Jonathan's been involved for a while. So that's pretty much been my community involvement.
Thanks, Mark. And if you want, any of you, if you come across, want me to repeat the question, you can say so. Andrew.
Same question.
Yes. Oh, same question, and then we'll just rotate as we go.
I have been a resident of Covington for 5 years. I live in the Novo apartment, so I think I was 1 year they have been there before I moved in. So it's been an interesting thing to see Covington grow, because prior to that I was living in Kent, and we did a lot of our shopping and things up here with my daughter at the little gym and that kind of thing. So I've seen Covington grow in the last 10 years, and now that I live here, I've had the opportunity to participate in some of the events that have happened here particularly through my job with the library. So I've driven the bookmobile in the Covington Days Parade for a few years, which is always so fun. I've gotten to participate in the Kids Fest for several years. We did the resource fair at the storehouse, and many of the back to school barbecues also with the Career Life Church. And most recently, I've been working with the PTA at the Kent Lake School District with the drama department. My daughter was in the most recent Gypsy production, so I helped with the ticket sales with that. And prior to that, a few years ago, I worked with Jenkins Creek PTA doing various things with the school, like science fairs, and they had the carnival that year. and a few things at Cedar Heights as well.
Thank you, Andrea. Debbie,
Well, again, we moved here in 1999 and we moved from Federal Way, and it was after a lot of research on best schools and best communities. It was a time where our son was going into junior high and we were living in a pretty rough time in Federal Way. So the schools in Kent School District were like one of the top in the country at the time. Great experience for us. I'm a big advocate for the schools in our area. Love to talk to new families and hear where their kids are going to school and give them encouragement. I think in terms of where I've been most able to help and my greatest accomplishment, again, I don't want to just focus on the storehouse, but that led to so many other things. I started on the board of the storehouse at a time when Meg and Kevin Holland, for those of you that have been around a while, were leaving the area, and Meg was the founder and director of the storehouse, and we were going through a huge transition from finding a replacement for her and how do we grow it into the next 10 years, 15 years to meet more needs than just the food. And so I think the greatest thing that I've been able to lend is with my business experience and my leadership experience is helping that team really grow and prosper. And we still have a lot of work to do, but I feel that, although that's led to many other areas in the community that I've been able to help, that's been my most significant and feel proudest of that right now.
thank you, Debbie. Jonathan,
Thank you again. I've lived in Covington since my wife Darcy and I got married in 2012. For the first few years, I admit I was occupied solely with working family, like so many of the residents of Covington, especially once my mom had her stroke in 2014. Taking over her financial affairs was difficult, challenging, and frankly, you don't know stress until you're handling your parents' retirement. I became concerned about safety matters on 164th Avenue Southeast, which led to my investigating the city more and my application for the Planning Commission. And many of you here voted for me for that position. Since I've become a member of the Planning Commission, I've worked on stormwater management. I've worked on the MDA for Lake Point. I worked on the fire traffic and school impact fee, the form-based code that will guide development of the town center, the new tree code, the sign code, and many, many other topics that come before the Planning Commission. I served as chair of the Planning Commission for 2020 through 2021, and am currently serving as vice chair of that commission. I remain a member of the Domestic Violence Task Force. We're currently working to make sure that the 5K and the tree lighting happens this year. In late 2019, I became a member of Covington Rotary, but even before that, I had begun running pet food drives to help Covington Storehouse serve the entire family. For the past several years, I've been working on bringing people together because none of the things that I've done are solely my accomplishments. The pet food drives, the diaper drives, all of those things for the storehouse, the street cleanups, all of those are group accomplishments. Last year, I got 60 scouts and adult leaders into Jenkins Creek Park for National Day of Service to clean up invasive species. We beat back the blackberries and pulled other things. Last year, we were able to work with Covington Rotary and Troop 517. We're able to, apologies for going over the top.
thanks, Jonathan. Lori,
Thank you.
same question.
Thank you. So we moved to Covington about 27 years ago. We moved from the Dallas, Texas area. I also did research on the schools because my kids were school age at that time and was very impressed with Covington. I didn't really know the area at all, but we came up and had a look around and decided Covington would be our home. And this is where we've remained for 27 years. I was very involved with my kids' school activities, always involved as either organizing events or involved in events. One of the fundraisers that I did when my kids were at Kent Lake High School, both of my daughters were in the gymnastics program, and they didn't have a proper gymnastics floor, like a regulation gymnastics floor. And it was decided that we needed to provide that for the kids. So I organized a fundraiser, which was a dinner and auction and hired Pat Cashman. I don't know if you guys know Pat Cashman, it's not really around anymore, but hired him as the MC, and we raised more than enough for the gymnastics floor and got that taken care of for them. Also did fundraisers for the drama club and several others, so have been involved in that way. And then, as I said, I'm the president of my HOA and stay very involved with making sure our property stays, as it should, and kind of just overall overseeing what happens, in the different facets within our community. My husband and I also headed up, it wasn't in Covington, but it was community service. Our church is in Puyallup, and we headed up a grocery distribution for about 11 years, and we would feed 150 to 200 families a month, plus do big holiday distributions as well. And thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Question 2, and we'll start with you, Andrea. What is your understanding of current and planned development projects in the city? And how do you feel about the current trajectory?
My understanding of current and planned projects, I do know about the Lake Point project. I've heard a few things. How do I feel about it? I'm excited. I think that we need a lot more housing in Covington. So many people are moving here. I think it would be a great place to gather as a community. I remember reading something about City Hall possibly moving to Lake Point, and I don't remember if there was ever a resolution to that, but I think that would be fantastic to see City Hall kind of gather in a place where so many new residents would be, so that there would be opportunities for more people to help out with the community. I also know about some of the programs like the Ready Set Play. I think that's a fantastic program for the youth in Covington. I wish there was something like that for the teens. I think that would be a really fun thing for older kids to be part of as well. But it's just fun seeing the kids go to the different businesses, and they learn about different places here in Covington. Their parents learn about different places, and just kind of spreads information and knowledge around. Thank you.
Thank you. Debbie, same question.
I also have an awareness of the Lake Point property. I think that has a lot of people very excited, and not only for the growth or economic growth, I think it will bring us some more affordable housing and potentially some more senior housing, which we've done a great job of recently, but I believe we need more. And then we've got a couple of the park projects happening, the SoCo, and then the relocation of City Hall to the new city. It's not the downtown, so I can't recall the name of it, but I think that's also in the works. We've got a lot of the infrastructure work that's happening, partially thanks to the American Rescue Plan funding. And so we've got the Covington Connector. And we're making a lot of good headway on things that the city has needed and wanted for a long time.
Thanks, Debbie. Jonathan, same question.
Well, obviously, I'm excited to see the parks growing, first of all. I know we have been making a dedicated effort to acquire space for parks before the space is gone, and it's paying off. I'm thrilled with the direction SoCo Park is taking. I'm thrilled with the expansion of the Jenkins Creek Park, with the addition of the parking lot. I think that's going to be fabulous for the city. I'm obviously familiar with Lake Point since I was on the planning commission when we went through and reviewed the MDA before I got to city council. And I'm excited about Lake Point. I'm concerned about the amount of growth that they're bringing in terms of traffic and things like that. I know that a lot of people in the community share those concerns, especially when we already have a pretty dire traffic situation. I am excited about the widening of Kent Kangley all the way down to the into the city. And I think everybody is, and I'm very thrilled that the people in the far east of Covington finally got traffic. I know the town center is coming. I don't know how far the town center is. I don't know that the original estimates are going to be accurate anymore. I think we're probably going to be in the 2030 or so range. Beyond that, I know there's smaller development going on all over the city. There's some developments that were, how do we say, let lapse that have been recently picked up. I am pleased that the new tree code is in place and the developers are no longer coming in and just clear cutting the lots. So I'm looking forward to seeing what impact that has on the rest of the city, on the development as we move forward.
Thanks, Jonathan. Lori, same question.
Well, Lake Point development, I'm very excited about. It's within walking distance of my home, so we're looking forward to that. I've also said for quite a while that I feel like we need more businesses to draw people to our community. I think having new restaurants, new retail shops, that type of thing will be a plus. I also have concerns about traffic, so I'm happy to see the connector moving forward and the widening of Kent Gangway as well. And I hope that further repairs and improvements to our roads continue to happen, because I think that's definitely a need. I'm also really excited about the new parks. I think that's really important. We have grandkids that come visit all the time, so having new parks in the area will be wonderful. So all of the developments that I made myself familiar with, I think look wonderful, and I'm really excited about it for it as a community.
Thanks, Lori. Mark.
Well, yeah, I'm also very excited about Lake from the time that was first proposed to the city. It's going to be an amazing project that's going to bring in a lot of needed services, or at least bring in the tax revenue that the city is going to be able to use to improve the services that we need. As far as parks, we have Covington Community Park, and really looking forward to phase 3. I was on the council when we bought that piece of property 20 some years ago, and they've always been excited for that property to be developed. The community center, has always been talked about for the past 20-25 years, and I understand that it gained some steam, but that steam is kind of running out a little bit, and I certainly think that needs to be approached again. This community needs something where our youth can gather, where they can meet and express themselves in all sorts of different ways. And a lot of times you hear community center, you think sports, but it needs to be so much more than that. You need to include the arts, maybe after school projects, mental health issues. Our students now are using, they're facing mental health issues that we never had to as kids. What they receive in the schools is very minimal. There's so many things that can be incorporated into that community center outside of a pool and other recreation. Traffic's always been an issue. I love the fact that the connector is being done. And finally, the widening from Wax Road up into to the Home Depot. But we really have to focus on getting that extended all the way, to the city limits. But we can't just rely on the east-west. I think we also need to look at the north-south arterials, 157th and 164th. Those need to be widened to accept more traffic. God, 2 minutes goes by fast. One other thing I'd like to say real quickly about the town center that really needs to get done. Have a community gathering place. One thing I've always said is that the city, we have to keep that small town feel, and that will go so much to accomplishing that. And another thing, we got to do something with the entryways to the city. They need to be, stand out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Debbie, we'll start with you for question 3. Public safety is a primary concern for residents. What is your opinion on public safety in Covington?
Well, my opinion is I agree that we have some issues in front of us. And I think yesterday, sitting through the meeting with the chamber and with all of you, there are clearly many, many options out there. Perhaps not one fits the bill. And so it may take a conglomeration of different options that will work. But as I talk to residents and I get to meet a lot of residents as I work in my different areas of volunteerism, that's probably the number one issue that I hear, along with mental health services, as Mark mentioned. So I was interested in those statistics that we heard yesterday, and I've asked Adam to share a copy of those metrics with me so that I can really kind of dig into. It was good to hear that we don't have assaults against persons. That was really reassuring to hear. But we've got a lot of crimes against property, and our businesses are just getting slammed. I mean, you go along the downtown area, you know, half of the businesses have boarded up windows. And I was just working with Jonathan over the weekend at the pet food drive, watching all the number of shoplifters walking out, just blatantly stealing, and the clerk saying, we can't do anything about it. So it's clearly a problem. I believe it's going to take some focus, but there are a lot of good options on the table, some of which may be more viable than others.
Thanks, Debbie. Jonathan, same question.
For clarification, please repeat the question.
Definitely. Public safety is a primary concern for residents. What is your opinion on public safety in Covington?
My opinion is that public safety has been sliding for a few years, and violent crime may be down, but crimes against property are definitely up. The problems that have been plaguing Seattle have been pushed out towards us, and the King County Council frankly has no interest in serving Covington. We need our own police department. We need a police department that we can rely on to serve the interests of Covington, not the interests of King County, which are not necessarily the same. We need people in Covington feel not just their persons are safe, but that their property is safe. And we don't need to become a haven for the criminal activity that is taking over the rest of King County.
Thanks, Jonathan. Lori.
As a longtime resident of Covington, I've always felt very safe here. I greatly appreciate that. I work in Kent currently, and there's a vast difference between the area that I work in and the area that I live in. And I'm a huge backer of the police department. My husband is a former police officer. I appreciate so much the work that they do. I know that it's very difficult for them these days, and I think that they do a great job. We recently had police officers at our property because there was somebody who, it's a long story. Anyways, they did a great job, and I greatly appreciate that. I do think that it's definitely an area of concern because it has to be addressed continuously, I think, because as you said, crime is getting pushed out from other areas. So I appreciate everything that's going on, but I do know that it is definitely an area of concern to continue to work towards making sure that we stay safe.
Thanks, Lori. Mark.
Safety has always been a concern. It's always been a priority for as long as I can remember in the city. And we need to give the police officers the tools that they need to increase their presence. I think having a higher presence is going to do a lot to deter crime, especially if it's in the business district. Right now, I think the bad guys know that the police aren't going to be around for a while. And, you know, they can go in, they can do a smash and grab, whatever, and they can get out before the police even have an opportunity to respond. So we have to find a way to get the tools. I know there's staffing issues within the county, but we need to find ways to possibly overcome them. I was very interested in the committee that's looking at maybe possibly some type of a regional type police force, whether it's just the three cities combined, Black Diamond, Maple Valley, and Covington, which makes a lot of sense to me, whether Renton is involved or not. But I think that might be a great way to go to the future. Whether having Covington's own police force is, I mean, it sounds good, but that's very expensive. And what tools will we end up having to give up because we can't afford all that? So I think a regional presence might be a better way to go. Adam, I met with Adam. He mentioned he really needs detectives, so they can investigate and work these claims. That's a big problem that they're having right now. He does not have the detectives that they can go in and work these cases. He told me one instance of a house in Timberlane that they know, they're fencing good, they're stolen good, but he does not have the tools to go in and work that case. Lake Point could probably be a good point of funding, to help get those tools. We also need to get our school resource officers back. I think when you get the children involved with the police at an early age, it can do a lot for them into their future and how they view the police. That would be a top priority.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Andrea, same question.
Yes. That is a primary concern. We want our residents and our neighbors to feel safe where we live. And I've noticed that I am seeing more of the nonviolent crimes, in thefts in Fred Meyer and Costco parking lots and, burglaries in the Timberlane area. And, it makes people feel a little unsafe to hear these stories from their neighbors. The best way to combat that is working with police, and the programs that we have, like Be Coffee with a Cop, really bring the community and the police together, which I think is a really great idea, just for people to, get that chance to talk and form those meaningful connections with the police. I also, working in the library, I see a lot of youth, teens especially, that just have nothing to do and nowhere to go. Our city really needs a place for teens to have a hangout space and have a place to go that's not their home, that's not their school, like a third place to be. I think that would be a huge benefit to our city. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. Jonathan, start with you for question 4. Of our newly adopted goals, which would be your priority and why? And our goals are right up there.
I don't see my priority on my priority on that list. My priority is engagement with the public. If we get an engaged public, all of those goals will happen. If we don't, they won't. We need to reach out more as a city to people in the community. We need more interaction with those people, less dependence on social media. People are hungry for a handshake and a smile. And if we give it to them, the rest of those goals are going to happen.
Thank you, Jonathan. Lori, same question.
Thank you. It's hard to choose one. Right now, I think most people would say a robust and resilient economy, just because of what's been going on nationally. But I also think that the socially vibrant destination is important. I feel like Covington is working towards that. And I think that that would probably lead to people being more involved if you have social areas, Lake Point, those type of things. People are going to gather, people are going to become more acquainted, and people are going to become more involved. So I think that would probably be the priority that I would choose.
Thanks, Lori. Mark, same question.
I would have to choose a robust and resilient economy, and I think everything revolves around your economy of your city. If you have a healthy economy, you're going to have a healthy city. And when you have a healthy city, you're going to have healthy citizens. You have a healthy economy, you're going to have more jobs in the area. When you have people employed, then you're not going to have the mental health issues that go along with unemployment, of not being able to support, provide housing or food for your family. That this community does have a lot of. We do have a lot of low income people that are really struggling at this time. When you have a healthy economy, it helps fund your safety. When you have a vibrant downtown and you have people that are down there, that does scare away crime. I think you're seeing that now in the big cities all across the country, and a lot of it had to do with COVID. You had people moving out of the cities, they weren't down there for work, and what happens? The criminal element moves in. So I would have to definitely choose a robust and resilient economy, but I think everything revolves around that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Andrea.
Out of the newly adopted goals, I believe that my priority would be a socially vibrant destination. We've got an amazing city here. We've got, the lowest sales tax rate in the area. I mean, people come here just to shop. We've got a lot of really great stores here. I think that brings people here to support small businesses. And I think when you support your small businesses, then you get some of the other goals like the robust economy, the exceptional city services. I believe that we have what it takes to be the vibrant destination that can make this city shine.
Thanks, Andrea. Debbie?
I feel that our city has really led us through times like COVID. And because of the various grants and economic stimuluses that were available, our city council took advantage of all of those. And because of that, I believe that we're really leading into a robust and resilient economy. Socially vibrant destination, I believe that I agree with the comments from a few of my colleagues here that getting the community engaged is important, and that will help with the social vibrancy. But if I had to focus on one thing, it would be the commitment to health and safety. Because of COVID, we have an entire generation of students and youth that are damaged. They've come through an extremely tough time in their life. Now they're back in school, but we are hearing that the suicide rate is high, the depression rate is high. We have to get in front of that and help them. So that is the health part. I also believe that with the health part is our senior community. Our senior community is growing. We're building a number of senior living facilities, but we don't really have a lot of services for them. And they're also an at-risk community in terms of food insecurity. We're seeing a rise in their need for services, and their mental health. They couldn't see their grandchildren during COVID, and we all talked about, not being able to see our family and our grandchildren, but they were locked down. They didn't get to see their grandchildren, and they've become isolated. So I think that that commitment to health, those all go together. And then the public safety, I've already talked about that, but I think that that's an area that we're really going to need to focus on and take advantage of some of the options that are available to us.
Thank you, Debbie. Lori, we'll start with you for question number 5. The City of Covington's mission statement is forging opportunities for a strong and growing community. How can the City Council best ensure that this happens?
I think probably the number one thing is to listen to the concerns of citizens and take those into consideration with every decision that's made, making sure that the voice of the citizens is the deciding factor. I think that has taken place with the city council. So, and then I also think that encouraging community involvement also helps for a strong and growing community. So those are the 2 things I would say.
Thanks, Lori. Mark, same question.
Again, I think, it all starts with the economy. And I think we need to, if we can build a good economic environment or keep building a good economic environment, that leads to, leads to an avenue for our citizens to grow and to evolve in our community. We need to keep up with the park so they have a good place to play and live. We also need to focus on housing. We have a lot of housing going up that's just out of reach for many of our communities, especially for the young communities. I have a daughter right now who's 26, 27. She's living in Arizona, and she's just upset because housing is out of her reach. We need to find a way where we can make housing somewhat affordable in some way for the younger generation. As we have 30% of this community is under the age of 18. If we want to keep them in this community, we have to find places for them to live. So I think we need to keep focusing on the economy, building the parks where they can live, and give them a place where they can live, live affordably and comfortably.
Thank you, Mark. Andrea,
Yes, I believe in order to meet this mission, the council has everything they need. You're agents of change at the local level. So you could, supporting affordable housing, food security, school safety, all of these things hand in hand, make for a strong and growing community. I'm in agreement with Mark about affordable housing. I feel it myself. I'm in an apartment right now. We just can't afford to get that step into homeownership because it's just so much out of reach. I also feel that multifamily housing is important to have, and we don't have enough of that in Covington. Teen programs, like I said before, I really advocate for having spaces for teens to be because they're the next generation. They're the ones that are going to be in our places here, and they definitely have lots of opportunities in the city. And our public spaces, keeping our green spaces safe and accessible, I think is very important to meet our mission as well.
thank you, Andrea. Debbie,
I think continuing to attract major employers, bringing companies into our area that will create employment, new jobs, new growth, new revenue. And that will help towards a strong community. And then I also believe that we've got a lot of we have great commissions, and they encompass just about every area. And if we really grow and listen to those commissions, we've got bright people that lead those from all spectrums of age group and background. They've got great ideas, and I think that they can help us forge that growth.
thank you, Debbie. Jonathan,
The only way we're going to achieve this is again through engagement with the people of Covington. We have to be out there. We have to be shaking hands. We have to be talking. We have to be listening to their problems. We have to find out what's going on and stop small problems before they become big problems. We have to make people feel like someone is listening to their concerns. And frankly, when we do that, we set up future commissioners and future city council members. We make people feel like they're involved, that their opinion matters in the overall direction the city takes. And without that, we don't have the vibrancy. We don't have a strong and growing community. We have a community that's built on flawed communication. We need to focus on the communication with the citizens. We need to bring the citizens in so that we're part of a team that's building that future Covington.
thank you, Jonathan. Mark, we'll start with you for question 6. What are your ideas on how best to engage Covington's residents and represent our community in the region?
Boy, if I had the answer to that. I think, first of all, I think social media is a very good way of getting out. I'm not big on social media myself, but I think that's a great way of reaching out to the people. I also think it's, as council members and commission members, we need to get out into the community. We have to make somehow people wanted to come and get involved in the community as far as attending meetings, joining commissions. We need to engage the schools more, get the youth of this community involved. It's getting the word out. I found out in one of my meetings with one of the council members that the city council didn't raise property taxes for 2 years during COVID, and I had no clue. And I'm thinking, this is something, it's a very positive. Nobody likes to pay taxes, and they're used to that, property tax being raised consistently every year. But that word didn't get out to the community, and I think that was a mistake. So we do need to find ways, whether it's through social media, getting the council meeting out, maybe try again. I know years back we tried having council meetings out in the community. We had them at the gas station. We had a council meeting at a couple of the at the schools. It worked at first. We started getting a little bit more people showing up at the council meeting. We did it maybe, I think, 3 times a year for 2 years. Maybe we need to, think outside of the box a little bit instead of bringing government or bringing them to the government per se. Getting the government, and by government, I'm talking about the commissions and everything involved in running the city, bringing that to the people rather than trying to bring the people to us, because that's not working as well as we would like it.
Thank you, Mark. Andrea, same question.
I've learned through working at the library, the best way to engage the community is really to meet them where they are. You can't expect them to come to you. You really have to find them and listen to them and develop relationships with them where they are. I think some ways to do that are groups that we could, that welcome refugees and immigrants into our communities. Developing goals, working effectively with them to help them understand where they're living and any kind of services that they need, where to find them. I think that's very important. I also think that, meeting with the schools, ensuring that the parents and the students have services and what they need, and where to find them, I think is very important. Ultimately, it's really just about engaging with our neighbors and listening to what their goals are and working effectively with them to meet those goals.
Thank you, Andrea. Debbie.
Well, I think we have an opportunity coming up on August 2nd with National Night Out. And historically, council members, and I don't know how you guys do it, but you make yourselves available throughout the city, but maybe not just council members, but maybe commission leaders and members. If we get those invites out there, those are great opportunities. It's an hour long, but it gets in front of people. And I like the idea also of just having smaller community. Hey, I live in High Point. I'm opening up my house next Tuesday night. Anybody that would like to come, we're going to talk about, things we know about that are happening in the city. We also have people in our community that want to drive these types of activities. Real Life Church, as an example, last Saturday hosted a free community barbecue, and there was no agenda. It was open to anyone and everyone that wanted to come, inflatables for the kids, hot dogs. I don't know that the city council got any kind of word on that. I kind of got off guard myself, but caught off guard. But had they opened that up and asked, hey, would you guys like to come? Anyone like to come and just walk around, chat with people? I agree. I think the more that we get in front of people where they're at, the better we can do, but it's a lot about engagement.
Thank you, Debbie. Jonathan.
Well, the city council already does an excellent job of representing the city regionally in various boards and things. I know you all have various boards that you're on, and you have pinned, and you have a lot of time commitments involved. I think there are things that we could do city-wise that would help bring more activity to Covington, that would in turn put things out of the grapevine. For instance, getting out there, that Covington's great parks are a great place to, say, have a music festival or a barbecue cook-off or something like that. And if we start having some events like that in the city, we start bringing some events like that into the city, the word about Covington will spread more. Social media will remain important in our efforts to engage the public, but at this point, people are hungry for real interaction. We have to get out there. We have to see them. We have to talk with them. We have to look into their eyes. And nothing is a substitute for being able to look someone in the eyes and shake their hand. As we return to normal, the city council should be going out and engaging the community in person by attending events that we already have scheduled and working with community organizations to schedule visits with those organizations to help civic leaders help us spread the news about what's going on in the city and build engagement. If we increase the frequency of those in-person engagements, we'll feed the grapevine, so to speak, and our efforts to engage will spread across the community despite any efforts to stop them, to any limitations on our activities. By the more people we interact with, the better off that grapevine is going to be. That's going to feed, again, future commissioners, future city council members, future involvement with all of the efforts that the city puts on. And frankly, there should not be a city-sponsored event, a movie, a swim, daddy-daughter dance without a city council member there who's ready and willing to answer questions, and that's advertised to the public in advance. If manpower becomes an issue, then we leverage the commissions as well, but it has to happen. We have to get out there. We have to look people in the eye and shake their hands.
Thanks, Jonathan. Lori?
I also agree it's about engagement. I think partnering with businesses, local businesses, partnering with churches, schools, to create events that are more accessible to residents, I think is a good idea. I also think creating an event where maybe it's called the Voice of Covington, where people can just come and meet with council members, talk about any concerns they have, let you know what questions they have, let you know what their concerns are. I think that that's really of great value because it gives the council information about what people are feeling, what people are thinking, what their needs are. And it's one-on-one communication, building that relationship and really getting to know people. And I also think that that would create more engagement from residents. I think that as they get to know council members, as they feel more comfortable in that forum, I think that would create more involvement from residents.
Thank you, Lori. Andrea, question number 7. Start with you. What do you believe is the most important project or program for the city to be focused on?
Tough one. I think the most important project for the city right now, traffic is a huge issue, I believe. And I think the Covington connector is a way to kind of eliminate a little bit of that. And the widening of 272nd, I think, is also a really great start. But I feel that, it's just going to create another bottleneck where it stops, So I think looking beyond that, we've got to think of ways, especially with the Lake Point development coming in, bringing in all these new residents and people visiting our city. There's got to be something to address the rest of the areas in Covington that get bottled and get stuck. Yeah.
Thank you, Andrea. Debbie?
Public safety, I think, hearing yesterday that we've got a 15% rate increase from the county, looking down at next year's budget. That's a twofold problem. It's solving the crime rate that we have today. And it's how do we manage that in the future, because that's coming very quickly. A lot of decisions around whether you stay independent or tri-city approach, or continuing to contract with the county. But in my mind, public safety is the one issue that I think requires the most attention.
Thanks, Debbie. Jonathan?
Well, I think there's one issue that demands more attention than anything else, but if I did, I think that would again be, I would go back to engagement. I could talk about economic development. I could talk about traffic. I could talk about the rising crime, the crimes being pushed out to us. I could talk about the lack of representation. Essentially, we have one person representing us on the King County Council, and Seattle dominates all the decisions that are pushed down to us. But again, we need more engagement from our public. We need to build not just an economically strong public. All of those goals are important, right? However, if we don't have that engagement, none of those goals are going to happen the way any of us want. And that is where we're currently falling short. It's a giant sea. I don't say it's apathy. It's a giant sea of people being too busy to be apathetic. We need to reach out. We need to connect with them. We need to make them realize that the people on the commissions, and the people on the city council are just people who live in the community, who care about the community. And that together we can build a great, great city.
Thanks, Jonathan. Lori?
I am going to have to go with traffic on this as a resident. And my husband's on the road a lot. He is out with his work. Traffic is a constant source of frustration, and I think it's something that should be addressed. I know it is being addressed, but it's going to have to be a constant work in progress, I think, and something that I think is at the top of minds for most residents in Covington.
Thanks, Lori. Mark,
The question, just for
certainly.
clarity, please.
What do you believe is the most important project or program for the city to be focused on?
That's good. I heard some great things here. Public safety, most definitely, traffic, most definitely. But traffic, I know, we've been looking at that, and there's so much traffic that's out of our hands. I mean, we can't afford a $17 million project. We have to rely on grants from the federal government and the state. We have a great staff that's out there seeking that. Public safety, same thing. We need to give them the tools, but again, we can fund our police department, double what we are now, but if we can't hire the police officers because there are none, it's kind of out of our hands. So I want to take it in a little different direction in my answer. And I think as far as the project, a specific project, I'm going to go back to the community center and something where that the whole community, I think that a community center in the town center would be an awesome location for that. A place where the community can gather, where we can get that small town feel. There's so many things that can be done in the community center, as I mentioned earlier, not just as far as sports, but so many different services. Where do people now go when they need to find services in the community? They come to City Hall. But where do we have the mental health issues? Where do we have the help for housing? The community center can be a focus for all of that for our community to learn. I'm not trying to say that public safety or traffic, is less important than a community center, but I think a community center is something that we can tackle on our own. Public safety, traffic, there's so much of that that's just out of our hands that we rely on state, federal funding. So I would say that community center would be the most important.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Last question. Debbie, we'll start with you. On a council with everyone having their own opinions and thoughts, what would you do to help build on the unity that is currently on our council?
I believe that what is important is using empathy, understanding everyone's background and skill that they bring to the table. Successful teams are made up of people with different opinions and backgrounds. And so understanding one another's communication style and then learning how to collaborate. And I think those are the important things that make a team successful. First of all, empathy, understanding where others are coming from, and sometimes being able to take another person's opinion and rethink your stand, being flexible. So those are things that I've utilized in the past in teamwork that have helped me to build successful teams.
Thank you, Debbie. Jonathan.
Well, I like Debbie's answer and I'd love to steal it, but I actually prepared something different. I'm going to start by reminding you of the words of Edmund Burke, which he says that he says, "He that wrestles with us strengthens our nerves and sharpens our skills. Our antagonist is our helper." There are two things a person can do to be respectful when coming to an existing body. The first is listen to the existing positions, but the second is to present their own positions without sugarcoating it, without, how do you say, making it sound like the group voice. Only by listening to all of the opinions is real unity achieved. We have to, again, and this comes back to everything I said about engagement community. If you appoint me to this position, then I will work to listen to your opinion, but I will also be presenting mine. And we will come to understand each other's communication style. We will come to respect each other's positions and the points that back those positions.
Thank you, Jonathan. Lori.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. On a council with everyone having their own opinions and thoughts, what would you do to help build on the unity that is currently on our council?
Thank you. I think that when decisions are being made by, a group of people, I think the best thing to do to help people make decisions is have as much information as possible. I think making informed decisions is important. And I think that if everyone agrees that everyone has the same information, it's much easier to accept somebody else's position, even if it's different than yours. So I think making sure that the decisions are informed, making sure that all of the information is there, leads to better decision-making, and it also leads to people accepting other viewpoints a little bit easier.
Thanks, Lori. Mark?
I think Jonathan mentioned it and hit it right on the head, and it's respect. That's it's respect for everybody sitting up on the dais there. Everybody sitting up there, everybody sitting in this room, we all have the same goals. I mean, without a doubt. I think if there's any differences, it's in the path we want to get to those goals. And I think it's that we have to understand that. And I don't think this council has ever had that problem, at least in the last, 20 years. There's been respect. I think you need to bring a little bit of levity, some to it. And you can't have any personal agendas. You have to put that aside, but respect is definitely, I think, the most important aspect of having unity in the council. I know, you guys all know, I was on the short end of an awful lot of votes, but that didn't make me think anything less of anybody that was on the council at that time. And I think that that was like, at least I hope that was thought of in the opposite way also. And Jonathan Altman, I want to, you do have to listen to other people. I've told my kids this numerous times. It's one of the things they hate me saying. I think you learn more from people that you disagree with than from people that you agree with. And it's so true. My opinions have been changed by listening to others. And I think there have been times when I changed people's opinions. And if you go into it with a closed mind, you're not going to have that unity.
Thank you, Mark. Andrea?
How I would help build on the unity that is currently the council would be to come prepared. It's respectful to not waste anyone's time and understand the issues that are at hand. Getting to know each other is also really important, and being able to disagree, but keeping it civil and friendly. I think that's a really important trait to have. Everyone's got different ways of learning and different ways of doing, but understanding that we all have the same goals in mind, working together with those goals is definitely one of the traits. Also, like Mark said, not to have any agendas coming in, with the information, but open to listening to everything that is presented.
Thank you, Andrea. Well, that has gone fast. That is all 8 questions. Thank you all very much. We'll now go into your closing statement. Allow you 3 minutes now because we have the time. And we'll start with John.
I applied for this position because I want to serve the people of Covington and help our city grow into a place where everyone can feel at home and be safe. For years, I've been preparing myself for this role by acquainting myself not just with the work of the Planning Commission, but also the work of the other commissions and with the work of the City Council. I think you all know me as a familiar face at City Council meetings, frankly. My record of service to this community as a member of the Planning Commission and as an individual demonstrates my commitment to the city of Covington and to its residents. And I want to continue that by pursuing larger goals. By working together, we can engage with the public and create a truly vibrant, thriving community where we have a unique character that is, people are saying things like, we should do stuff like Covington does, not Covington saying we should do something like other cities does. The choice before you is not an easy one. I would like to thank each of you for your time and your consideration this evening. I am humbled to be among so many people who care about Covington as much as I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Lori?
Well, I think everyone here has a great experience in the community. And what I think that I bring to the table really is my passion for Covington. As I said, I'm a longtime resident homeowner, raised my children here. I've lived in different areas of the country. And this has been my absolute favorite place ever. I love Covington. I love to see the development and the growth in Covington and the positive things that are happening. And my hope is to be part of that positive change. And that's why I'm here.
Thank you, Lori. Mark?
Thank you again, council members. I love the city. I've always loved the city and I've been an advocate for the city. And I want to be a part again of making this city even better than it is now. There's so many good ideas that were brought up. Partnering with the schools. I know we had done some of that, but I think it's real important to get back and really begin partnering with the schools again. Community events. Y'all know I always try to get more money every year for community events. And I don't think there's any better way than when we have the events like the cider and sausage and Covington Days and the movies in the park. And there's so much opportunity for that. That's what really brings a community together and makes them feel like a community, not just a place you live. And unfortunately, I think we're getting away from that. Not necessarily just as a city, but I think, almost as a nation as a whole. When we first moved to this city, I knew every one of my neighbors. I mean, we had neighborhood barbecues, and as life goes on, people have moved out and just don't see that as much as we used to in the neighborhoods where you're having the neighborhoods. Community events are a way of getting that sense of community back. We've talked about public safety. That definitely has to be, a top priority as it always has been. One thing we didn't talk about is some of the development in the city. I'd like to take another look at some of the development codes and make sure that those are as tight as we want them. I've mentioned to some of you, I look at the Chick-fil-A. I've done a lot of traveling across it, and to me, and I know it's subjective, that is probably the ugliest Chick-fil-A I've ever seen. It seems to be a glorified cinder block. That monstrosity that we have over in our town square, Valley Medical Center, a great facility to have for the center, but I'm not sure if anybody ever really envisioned that type of architecture in the heart of our downtown. I think it's imperative that we take a look at our development codes and maybe shore those up and get the type of development buildings that, we really are in our vision. I do want to thank again all of you for having us here. And I do want to thank all of you again. What I heard is great. Like I said, I've been involved in this community, and every one of you, I think, would make an outstanding addition to the city council. So I'm very, very pleased that you took the time to come here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark. Andrea?
I just want to say thank you for taking the time to meet with us. I am honored to be sitting here with these amazing people that are so passionate about the city that we live in. I know I'm a new face and I don't have a ton of leadership skills, but I believe that leadership skills can be learned, and I am definitely going to learn. I'm raising my child here in Covington. I love the city and I want to stay here as long as I can. And I know that it's got a lot of potential. There's a few problems, but there's tons of potential if we just focus our efforts in the right areas. I think we're on the right path. We're on there with public safety. I feel like it's a very safe city compared to like Kent. I worked there several times, and I guess you can kind of feel the safety when you work at the different libraries in different cities, and kind of see what the problems are in the libraries. It's kind of a reflection of the city, and I'm really proud of Covington and what has been done. And there's a lot more work to do. But I just have a deep sense of community, and I'm ready and willing to take those opportunities to do the community service that it's approaching. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Debbie?
I'm also honored and humbled to be here with these colleagues and with our city council. am appreciative of everything that our city council has done over the years and has gotten us through some very difficult times. I will say that I trust in all of you to make the right decision tonight, even though it's going to be a difficult one. If I were chosen, I would work very hard with you to collaborate against all entities within our community, between our nonprofits and our schools and our amazing Chamber of Commerce and all of the groups we have, our civic clubs. Everyone has the interest at heart of seeing our community grow and thrive. I think getting all of those resources together, again, it's through engagement. I would love to be active in doing that. It's something that I've got a good track record of doing through my career and through my time in volunteerism through the community. So I just want to say thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Debbie. I want to thank each of you for your passion and taking the time to come here tonight. Our council, the city, would be honored to have any one of you sit up here, but most importantly, the residents of our city would be very well represented by each of you. And it will be a hard decision tonight, and we do have it on our agenda tonight. It's one of the last items to take action tonight to appoint one of you. It's going to be an honor having one of you up here. And if you're not chosen, don't take it wrong, because there are some more opportunities. We do have a lot more. I know that Jonathan sits on one of our commissions. Mark's been a past council member, but there's a lot of other opportunities to be involved. And I look forward to working with each of you throughout the years moving forward. So thank you all very much for your time tonight. And you're welcome to stick around. Council won't start for another 40 minutes at 7. And it probably won't be on the agenda until probably after 8 o'clock tonight, because we have several items on the agenda. So you're welcome to stick around, or if you can't, we will definitely let you know. So thank you again very much for being here tonight. Thank you. Oh, our council candidate interview is now adjourned. Thank you.